What's going on, guys? We're back with another YouTube video. Bro, Invincible Season 3 has been absolutely insane. I would even go as far as to say, honestly, that this is the best season of Invincible for me. Like, it completely tops the other two in terms of writing. And this is coming from someone where I wouldn't say I didn't like Invincible Season 2. I do think there was some good stuff in there, like watching him having to team up with Omni-Man against two Viltrumites and having to learn the brutality of how the Viltrumites fight. That was honestly the highlight of season 2 for me. And the whole I thought you were stronger stuff with Angstrom Levy and Mark having to struggle with the fact that he killed someone for the first time. Well, at least he thought he did. Minor spoiler. But even with that, season 2 of Invincible, I thought it was alright. It just didn't really hit the mark for me, especially with that mid-season break. Like, the season already had pacing issues, and you're gonna slap a 4-month break when we're like 4 episodes in. But they made a joke out of it. They learned from it, obviously, but yeah, please never do that shit again. So I was going into season 3 with some pretty high expectations that they would get me back in, and so far they have absolutely delivered. They have actually gotten me back invested with the writing of these characters. Surprisingly, it happened pretty early on too, with one of the most interesting discussions I've been seeing recently on the internet being the philosophy clash between Mark and Cecil. I've seen quite a few videos on this topic at this point. Both sides have their merit to it, I'm not gonna lie, and a lot of people seem to gravitate towards Cecil because he obviously has the more realistic standpoint, and the show even shows us that when Cecil was younger, even he shared Mark's sentiment of having a moral boundary. But as time went on, Cecil got older, he got more experience, he started to understand how the world really works, and that there's kind of a realization there that sometimes that line of morality kind of has to be crossed, whether if it means redeeming old villains, trying to work with them, or if it means utilizing the talents of villains for the greater good, quote unquote, to do what you have to do to save the world. As said with this quote here, especially when you're in a world where there are enemies strong enough to rip you in half, and they don't have the moral restrictions that you do. And honestly, Mark should have kind of understood that when he went up against the Viltrumites on Thraxa. But the whole idea is that he tries to antagonize Cecil on this concept, but you know, and fans were calling him out on this, that kind of made him a hypocrite since he was still willing to work with Omni-Man after everything that he did, but he's getting mad at Cecil for doing essentially the same thing. But to be honest, I think it was just mainly how Cecil had went about it. Like, he stuck a ringer in Mark's eardrum without him knowing and abused the hell out of it as soon as he got the chance to. Granted, Mark was crashing out, so I understood why Cecil needed it. Like, it makes sense. After what Omni-Man put them through, I would have done it too. We all would have done the same thing. And obviously the counter to this being that, well, Mark didn't really do anything wrong, right? He's trying to prove that he's not like his father, and it's unfair of Cecil to kind of take this all out on him, which I agree. I get it. But when there are people that are this strong out there, seeing what this kind of power is capable of when it's in the wrong hands, funny thing is it ended up creating more villains like Powerplex. I think Cecil is absolutely justified in having these measures in place. And people were also making comparisons to Batman having contingency plans against Superman and the rest of the Justice League. I mean, on the surface, it seems kind of messed up to betray your friends like that. But looking deeper into it, again, it's not unreasonable. Like, he even had a contingency plan for himself, if I'm not mistaken. Because from Batman or even Cecil's perspective, heroes are flawed individuals, right? Heroes are people. They're flawed individuals just like everyone else. At the same time, to defend Mark, you also don't let the paranoia overconsume you and guide you into making rash decisions. And that's where Cecil messed up. With that being said, after seeing the Invincible War, he is right. He is right. He's been right. And he's still right, unfortunately. The Invincible War was a fucking bloodbath. Like, it was absolutely just straight up just brutal. It actually kind of proved why the Pentagon had these weaknesses stored up for them in the first place. You had all of these alternate versions of Mark going through and absolutely just destroying anything they can find, just killing people left and right. And the worst part is there wasn't a damn thing Earth could do about it. That's the worst part. All of the superheroes, even the ones with powers, were just getting wrecked. The only ones who really had a chance against any of the Marks were the ones with super strength, and even they were getting bodied. I mean, the Immortal, he has super strength, but like we all know, dude's a fraud. practically loses every fight he's in. And the thing is, it's not because he's weak, right? Immortal is what you would call like a jobber, just constantly getting put up against strong opponents to be fodder to them, so to say. And because of that, he's never really had a chance to show how strong he really is. We did get a taste of it when Mark went to the alternate reality and the Immortal completely lost his shit while he was ruling Earth. But because there were no Viltrumites on Earth, there was practically no one who could stop him. Like, let's just be honest, like, people call Immortal a fraud, but Immortal is pretty high up on the list if we take Viltrumites out of the equation. Like, I would say right under Alan the Alien and Battle Beast in terms of strength. Like, he's pretty strong. Anyways, back to the whole Invincible War stuff. Even with the alternate marks, I think they did a really great job showcasing what made each of them unique with the slight different voice tones. We find out each of them have slightly different motivations. Some of them wanted to take over different dimensions. And then you even had one who really just wanted to see his mom, because I guess his version of Debbie died on his planet. So it was really cool. I think my most favorite version of Mark by far probably had to be the Omni-Mark variant. Like, there was just something about his chill demeanor.
Hey, these two giving you trouble?
That man is literally the definition of the quiet kid in school. Like, the guy's just like really reserved. His voice is very just monotone, and it's even hinted at that he killed his version of Adam Eve. The fact that he's wearing an Omni-Man superhero suit shows that he probably believed in Nolan's previous ideology that his family and friends were like a weakness to him, and he ended up having to flush that weakness out, which is why he says this.
I always hated you.
Even with the Sinister Mark variant, I don't know what it is, but like, why does every version of Mark with a cape look so goddamn cool? I don't know. I don't get it, man. But even with the way these versions of Mark fight, it's just so harsh and just brutal with absolutely zero hesitation. And the thing is, and like I said before, they have the strength and power to get away with it because there's just such a small group of people that can even stand up to them. Which again, highlights why people like Cecil are needed in the world. And the thing is, Cecil even had to come through for Mark when they injured Eve with the exact same zombie technology that Invincible was so against in the first place. And it ended up saving him and Eve's life, which I just found that kind of poetic. But even with all of this, it was still pretty satisfying to see their clash come to some sort of a resolution. I mean, the chaos with all of these other evil marks, I think kind of made Cecil realize the importance of not messing up the relationship with the one good Viltrumite that they have. Invincible still made it clear that they are not partners. He's not leading the Guardians of the Globe for him, which is fair, honestly. Though it's nice to see that Invincible didn't burn the bridge completely, he is still willing to have a relationship with him. But I think all of this really proved that it is very important to keep Cecil's perspective in mind and just really understand his thought process when catastrophes like this can happen at literally any time and there's legitimately nothing they can do. This one incident alone wiped out most of the superheroes that Earth had. Even Rex, and it's just sad, man. I honestly think he has one of the top well-written arcs in the show. And people were complaining about Rex's death, saying that it was unfair and he didn't deserve it, but that's the whole point. That's kind of the whole idea, right? Life isn't fair. Just because Rex just started, getting his shit together, he just started being less of an asshole, that doesn't mean the universe is just gonna magically hand him a happy ending, right? Which I liked. I like the realism of it all. But it's just crazy work, man. It's just crazy work. But this whole discussion with Mark and Cecil kind of goes to show how far this show has come writing-wise, and I think it's amazing when you have a show like Invincible that can give such a nuanced take on both sides of a particular matter like this, to the point where you can't even decide who has the more agreeable standpoint. I think that's great. With that being said, that's going to be it for the video, though. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys enjoying Invincible Season 3? Do you guys agree with anything I said? Do you disagree so far? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like what you see, be sure to like the video, comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, that's going to be it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.